The crystal walls of the Zephyrian throne room sparkled with 1,000 colors. Admiral Chen Nakamura walked slowly across the vast floor, his black uniform simple compared to the bright robes of the alien nobles around him. His footsteps echoed in the huge chamber as hundreds of tall, crystal-like beings watched him with glowing eyes. Emperor Vex Nul sat on his throne made of pure starlight. The massive Zephyrian ruler was twice the height of any human, his body made of living crystal that shifted between blue and purple. When he spoke, his voice sounded like breaking glass mixed with thunder. "So, the humans have come to join our great empire," the Emperor said. His words carried across the room without effort. "Tell us, little Admiral, what can your primitive species offer to beings who rule 12 star systems?" Admiral Nakamura stopped in front of the throne and bowed slightly. He was a small man with gray hair and calm eyes. Behind him stood 2 other humans, Captain Sarah Wells and Commander David Park. They looked tiny next to the giant aliens around them. "Your Majesty," Admiral Nakamura said in a quiet voice, "humanity seeks only peaceful cooperation with your great empire. We offer our knowledge of mining, farming, and space travel." The Emperor leaned forward on his throne. "Mining? Farming?" His laughter sounded like crystal bells breaking. "We have conquered 43 species, Admiral. We have machines that can strip a planet bare in days. What could humans possibly know that we do not?" Ambassador Kethvar, the Emperor's chief diplomat, stepped forward. His crystal body glowed with orange light. "Perhaps we should review their military strength, Your Majesty. That is always entertaining." A hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed 12 human ships floating in space near Earth. The ships looked old and patched together. Some were clearly cargo vessels with weapons bolted onto their sides. Others were mining ships trying to look like warships. The Zephyrian nobles began to laugh. The sound filled the throne room like a storm of breaking glass. One noble pointed at the largest human ship and spoke in his musical language. Another noble laughed so hard that sparks of light shot from his crystal fingers. "This is your fleet?" Emperor Vex Nul asked, his voice full of disbelief. "These 12 scrap heaps?" Admiral Nakamura nodded calmly. "That is correct, Your Majesty. The UES Resilience is our flagship. She has served humanity for over 100 years. The Emperor studied the hologram of the ancient exploration ship. Its hull was covered with patches and repairs. The weapons looked like they had been stolen from a junkyard. "This ship is older than some of our colonies, Admiral. How does it even fly?" "Very carefully, Your Majesty," Admiral Nakamura replied without a smile. More laughter erupted from the nobles. Even the Emperor's guards, massive warriors in crystal armor, seemed amused. Only Admiral Nakamura and his 2 officers remained serious. Ambassador Kethvar spoke again. "Your Majesty, our scouts report that these ships have trouble fighting simple space pirates. One of their vessels was damaged by a single raider ship last month." "Perhaps," said the Emperor, "we should discuss your place in our empire, humans. You will become a protected species. You will mine our asteroids and grow our food. In return, we will protect you from the dangers of space." Admiral Nakamura considered this for a moment. "What about our ships, Your Majesty? Could they perhaps assist with patrol duties on the outer borders?" The throne room exploded with laughter. One noble fell backward, his crystal body ringing like a bell. Another noble was laughing so hard that light poured from his mouth like water. Emperor Vex Nul wiped tears of liquid light from his eyes. "Your toys patrol our borders? Admiral, your entire fleet would be destroyed by the first real pirates they encountered. Pirates use real weapons, not the scrap metal you call guns." The Emperor stood up from his throne, his massive form casting rainbow shadows across the floor. "No, little Admiral. Your ships will stay safely near your home world. They can practice flying in circles where they cannot hurt themselves or embarrass us." Admiral Nakamura bowed again. "Of course, Your Majesty. We would not want to be a burden." "Good," the Emperor said. He sat back down and waved his hand. "Ambassador Kethvar will give you the details of your new status. You may go now." As the three humans turned to leave, Admiral Nakamura pulled a small device from his pocket. It looked like a simple communicator. He pressed one button and spoke a single word in a language the Zephyrians had never heard before. "Omega." The device made no sound that the aliens could hear, but somewhere far away, other humans were listening. The message traveled through space faster than light, reaching Earth in seconds. Then it bounced to hidden stations throughout the solar system. The three humans walked out of the throne room while the Zephyrian nobles continued to laugh about their pathetic fleet. None of the crystal beings noticed the small smile on Admiral Nakamura's face. Outside the throne room, Captain Wells walked close to the Admiral. "Sir," she whispered, "they believed everything." "Of course they did," Admiral Nakamura replied quietly. "Pride makes people stupid. They see only what they expect to see." Commander Park looked around to make sure no aliens were listening. "How long until the fleet receives the signal?" Admiral Nakamura checked his watch. "The message reached Earth 3 minutes ago. By now, every ship in the Silent War Armada knows that Operation Long Game has begun." The three humans walked through the crystal corridors of the Zephyrian Palace. Around them, alien guards and servants went about their business. None of them knew that they had just made the biggest mistake in their empire's history. They had laughed at humanity's fleet. They had mocked Earth's ancient ships. They had called human weapons toys and human soldiers weaklings. But somewhere in the darkness between the stars, thousands of ships that did not appear on any scanner were beginning to move. Ships that had been built in secret over 50 years. Ships that used technology the Zephyrians could not even imagine. The real war was about to begin, and the galaxy's greatest empire had no idea what was coming for them. 6 months had passed since the humans left the Zephyrian capital world. Emperor Vex Null rarely thought about the tiny species anymore. Earth was now listed as a mining colony in the Empire's records. The 12 human ships had been forgotten completely, but strange things were happening at the edges of Zephyrian space. Commander Vex Shal, the Emperor's nephew, sat in his command chair aboard the cruiser Crystal Dawn. He was investigating reports from the border worlds. The reports made no sense. "Sir," said his sensor officer, a young Zephyrian named Kexmol, "the mining station in the Tau system reports another incident. They say someone completed 3 months of work in 1 night." Vex Shal's crystal body flickered with annoyance. "Explain." "The miners went to sleep with only a quarter of the asteroid excavated. When they woke up, the entire rock had been hollowed out and processed. All the valuable metals were sorted and ready for transport." "Equipment malfunction," Vex Shal said quickly. "Their sensors were broken. The work was probably done over several days." But Kexmol shook his head. "Sir, they have video recordings. The work really was done in 1 night, but the cameras show nothing except empty space around the asteroid." Vex Shal stood up and walked to the main screen. It showed a map of the border regions with dozens of red marks. Each mark represented a strange report. "What about the Kepler Nebula incident?" he asked. Another officer spoke up. "The pirate fleet that was hiding there has vanished, sir. All 15 ships. No distress signals, no debris, no signs of battle." "Pirates fight each other all the time," Vex Shal said. "The strongest group probably destroyed the others and took their ships. That's what we thought, sir. But then we found this." The screen changed to show a video recording. It was from a security probe hidden near the nebula. The recording showed 15 pirate ships floating in space, their crews drinking and celebrating some successful raid. Then, one by one, the ships simply went dark. There was no enemy visible on the recording, No weapons fire, no explosions. The pirate ships just stopped working and began drifting. In less than an hour, all 15 vessels were silent and empty. Could be a virus in their computer systems, Vexshal suggested, but his voice sounded uncertain. Sir, Kexmol said quietly, there's something else. We've detected gravitational anomalies in 17 different systems. Large masses moving through space, but our sensors show nothing there. Vexshal felt a chill run through his crystal body. How large? The size of battleships, sir. Sometimes bigger. Meanwhile, far from Zephyrian space, Captain Maria Santos floated weightless in the command center of the UES Shadewalker. Her ship was invisible to every sensor the galaxy had ever developed. It existed in a state between dimensions, real enough to fire weapons, but unreal enough to avoid detection. Around her, dozens of screens showed other human ships carrying out their missions. The silent war Armada had been moving through Zephyrian space for months, cleaning up pirates and protecting trade routes. The Empire never saw them coming. Captain, said Lieutenant Chen, we've completed Operation Sweep in the Vega system. All hostile forces have been neutralized. Maria nodded. Casualties? None on our side. The pirates have been relocated to Prison Station Alpha. They'll be released when this is over. This was how humanity fought wars. They didn't destroy their enemies if they could help it. They just made those enemies disappear until the fighting was finished. What's our next target? Maria asked. The Eclipse pirates in the Centauri system. Intelligence says they've been attacking civilian transports. Maria smiled. The Eclipse pirates were famous throughout the galaxy for their brutality. They had terrorized the space lanes for years. The Zephyrian Navy had tried to stop them dozens of times but always failed. The pirates would be gone by morning. Begin approach, Maria ordered. Silent running, dimension phase at 60%. I want them to feel like they're being haunted. The Shadewalker began to move through space in ways that violated every law of physics the galaxy understood. It slipped between the cracks of reality itself, existing and not existing at the same time. Back on the Zephyrian command ship, Vexshal was reading more reports. Every day brought new mysteries. Pirate fleets vanishing without a trace. Mining operations completed by invisible workers. Trade routes suddenly becoming safer for no apparent reason. Sir, Kexmol called out, we're receiving a priority message from the home world. The main screen showed the face of Admiral Kex Thon, the Empire's greatest military commander. His crystal features were sharp and angry. Commander Vexshal, the Admiral said, you will immediately investigate the disappearance of Task Force 7. Vexshal felt his body grow cold. Task Force 7 was composed of 20 warships. They had been patrolling the outer rim only yesterday. Sir, when did they disappear? 6 hours ago. They were investigating reports of ghost ships in the Orion sector. Their last transmission said they had found nothing unusual. Then all contact was lost. Vexshal looked at his crew. 20 ships and their crews, thousands of Zephyrian soldiers gone without a trace, just like the pirates, just like all the others. Admiral, Vexshal said carefully, perhaps we should consider that these incidents are connected. Someone or something is operating in our space without our knowledge. Admiral Kex Than's image flickered with anger. Impossible. Our sensors can detect any ship larger than a fighter craft. Our territory is under constant surveillance. But sir, what if someone has developed technology that can avoid our sensors? No species in the galaxy has such technology, the Admiral snapped. These incidents are coincidental. Equipment failures, pirate conflicts, navigation errors. I will not have panic spread through the fleet because of ghost stories. The transmission ended, leaving Vexshal staring at a blank screen. Around him, his crew worked quietly, but he could sense their fear. Something was hunting in Zephyrian space, something they couldn't see or fight. In the darkness between stars, Admiral Chen Nakamura stood on the bridge of the UES Long Night. His command ship was the size of a small moon, but it cast no shadow and reflected no light. It was invisible to every form of detection the galaxy had ever developed. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "all silent war groups report successful operations. The Zephyrian border is now completely secure." Admiral Nakamura nodded. Phase 1 was complete. For 6 months, human ships had been cleaning up the galaxy's worst criminals while remaining completely invisible. The Zephyrians were getting credit for improved security, never knowing that humans were doing all the work. "Any response from the Empire?" "They're investigating, sir, but they can't see us. Their technology is 50 years behind ours." Admiral Nakamura smiled slightly. "Then it's time for Phase 2. Signal all fleet commanders. Operation Revelation begins in 72 hours. The real test was about to begin. Emperor Vex Null stared at the reports covering his desk. Each document told the same impossible story: ships vanishing without explanation, pirates disappearing from heavily guarded systems, trade routes becoming mysteriously safe overnight. "Admiral Kexthan," the Emperor called to his military commander, "explain to me how 23 of our patrol groups have simply vanished in the last month." The tall crystal warrior shifted uncomfortably. His usual confidence had been replaced by confusion and growing fear. "Your Majesty, our investigation teams find no evidence of battle. No debris, no distress signals, no signs of weapons fire." "Then where are they?" The Emperor's voice boomed through the throne room. We don't know, Your Majesty." For the first time in his 1,000-year reign, Emperor Vex Null felt something he had never experienced before: uncertainty. The Zephyrian Empire had conquered the galaxy through superior technology and overwhelming force. Their enemies always fought them directly, but this enemy remained invisible. "Deploy the Third Armada," the Emperor commanded. "I want our best ships and most experienced crews investigating these disappearances. Whatever is happening in our territory ends now." Admiral Kexthan bowed deeply. "At once, Your Majesty. The Third Armada consists of 96 capital ships and our most advanced sensor systems. If there is an enemy hiding in our space, we will find them." 3 days later, the Third Armada entered the Kepler Nebula, where the latest disappearances had occurred. Fleet Admiral Zex Cole commanded the formation from the battleship Diamond Fist. He was the Empire's most decorated warrior, veteran of dozens of campaigns. "All ships maintain formation," Admiral Zex Cole ordered. "Full sensor sweeps every 30 seconds. If so much as a grain of space dust moves unexpectedly, I want to know about it." The massive fleet spread out through the nebula. Each ship was a masterpiece of Zephyrian technology, armed with weapons that could destroy planets and protected by shields that had never been breached. For 6 hours, they found nothing. "Sir," reported the sensor operator, "we're detecting the same gravitational anomalies that other fleets reported. Large masses moving through space, but we see nothing on any scanner." Admiral Zex Cole studied the readouts. The gravitational signatures suggested objects the size of battleships, maybe larger. But every visual scan showed empty space. Could they be using some form of cloaking technology? He wondered aloud. "Sir, no known species has developed invisibility systems that can fool our sensors," his science officer replied. "Our detection grid can find anything made of matter." That was when the lights went out. Not just on one ship, but across the entire fleet. 96 of the Empire's most powerful warships suddenly found their power systems shutting down one by one. Emergency lighting flickered on, casting eerie shadows through the darkened vessels. "Report!" Admiral Zex Cole shouted. "Sir, our main power core is offline. Engineering reports no malfunction. The system just stopped." Across the fleet, the same thing was happening. Weapon systems went dark, shields collapsed, engines died. Within minutes, the third Armada was floating helpless in space. Then the communications system activated on its own. "Admiral Zex Cole," a human voice spoke from every speaker in the fleet. "This is Admiral Chen Nakamura of the Earth Defense Force. Please remain calm. Your crews are in no danger." Admiral Zex Cole felt his crystal body grow cold. "Humans? Impossible. Your species has only 12 primitive ships." "That information is incorrect, Admiral. Please prepare your crews for transport." "Transport? What are you—" The sentence was never finished. A strange blue light filled every ship in the Zephyrian fleet. When the light faded, the crews were gone. 96 capital ships floated empty and silent in the nebula. On the human command ship, Long Night, Admiral Nakamura watched as the Zephyrian crews materialized in the transport bays. They looked around in confusion and terror. These proud crystal warriors had never been defeated before, never been captured. "Sir," reported Captain Torres, "all Zephyrian personnel have been safely transported. No injuries." Admiral Nakamura nodded. "Take them to Sanctuary Station. Make sure they're comfortable. They'll be returned to their empire when this is over." "What about their ships?" "Leave them where they are. Let the empire find them. They need to understand what they're dealing with." The message was clear. Humanity could make an entire fleet disappear without firing a single shot. They could capture thousands of enemy soldiers without causing a single casualty. This was power beyond anything the Zephyrians had imagined. Back on the Zephyrian capital world, Emperor Vex Null stood before a holographic display showing the Kepler Nebula. The 96 ships of the Third Armada floated in perfect formation, exactly where they had been deployed. But when rescue teams boarded them, they found the vessels completely empty. "No signs of struggle," reported the rescue commander. "No damage to any systems. The crews are simply gone." Ambassador Keth Var approached the Emperor's throne. His crystal body was dim with fear. "Your Majesty, we received this message 20 minutes after the fleet went silent." A hologram appeared showing a human message buoy. When activated, it displayed a simple text message. "Your crews are alive and safe. They are being held at a secure location and will be returned unharmed when hostilities cease. We do not wish to be your enemy." Silent War Command. The Emperor read the message 3 times before the words fully sank in. "Silent War Command. What is that?" "We don't know, Your Majesty. But the message came from technology far more advanced than anything we've seen. The transmission method alone is beyond our understanding." For the first time in the Empire's history, Emperor Vex Null felt genuine fear. An enemy that could make his finest fleet disappear without a trace. Technology that made his sensors useless. Weapons that could disable his ships without damaging them. "How many ships do we think they have?" he asked quietly. "Unknown, Your Majesty. Our best estimate based on the gravitational anomalies suggests hundreds, maybe thousands." The Emperor sank back into his throne. Thousands of invisible ships. An enemy that could strike anywhere without warning. Technology that made the Empire's greatest achievements look primitive. "Your Majesty," Admiral Kexthon said carefully, "perhaps we should consider that humans are not the primitive species we believed them to be." Emperor Vex Null thought about the small human admiral who had stood in this very room 6 months ago. Chen Nakamura had seemed so calm, so accepting of the Empire's mockery. Now the Emperor realized that calmness hadn't been submission, it had been confidence. "Send a message to Earth," the Emperor commanded. Tell them we wish to reopen diplomatic discussions." But even as he spoke, he knew it was too late for diplomacy. The humans had revealed their true strength, and they had done it without killing a single Zephyrian. That restraint made them more terrifying than any conqueror the galaxy had ever known. In the darkness of space, Captain Maria Santos watched the Zephyrian rescue ships searching their empty fleet. The Shade Walker remained invisible, observing everything. "Captain," her communications officer reported, "we're receiving new orders from Admiral Nakamura." "What are our instructions?" "Phase 3 begins immediately. Target, the Zephyrian homeworld." Maria smiled. The real test was about to begin. Emperor Vex Null stood in his war room, surrounded by his greatest military minds. The holographic display showed the Zephyrian Empire in all its glory. 12 star systems, hundreds of worlds, thousands of ships. But for the first time in history, the Emperor felt like he was losing control. "Your Majesty," Admiral Kexthon reported, "we have lost contact with 7 more patrol groups. The enemy continues to operate throughout our territory without being detected." "This is madness," the Emperor declared, his crystal body glowing red with anger. "We are the most powerful empire in the galaxy. We have conquered 43 species. How can a handful of primitive humans make us look like fools?" General Mex Var, the Empire's chief strategist, stepped forward. "Your Majesty, I believe we have been thinking about this wrong. We assume the humans are hiding somewhere in our territory, but what if we strike at the source?" The Emperor turned toward his general. "Explain." "Earth, Your Majesty, the human home world. If we destroy their planet, their mysterious fleet will have no base to operate from. They will be forced to reveal themselves to defend their people." Admiral Kexthon nodded slowly. "It's a sound strategy, Your Majesty. We deploy the First Fleet, 400 capital ships. Even if the humans have superior technology, they cannot possibly match our numbers." The Emperor considered this. The First Fleet was the pride of the Zephyrian military. Every ship was armed with planet-killing weapons. Every captain was a veteran warrior. If the humans wanted to fight, they would face the full might of the Empire. "Do it," Emperor Vex Null commanded. "Launch the First Fleet immediately. Target, Earth. If the humans want to play games in the shadows, we'll force them into the light." 3 days later, the massive Zephyrian war fleet emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. 400 crystalline ships spread out in perfect formation, their hulls gleaming like jewels against the darkness of space. Fleet Admiral Nex Shal, the Emperor's brother, commanded the formation from the flagship Eternal Glory. He was confident that no force in the galaxy could stand against such overwhelming power. "Sir," his sensor officer reported, "we're detecting the 12 human ships near their moon, just as our intelligence predicted." Admiral Nex Shal smiled. "The same pathetic vessels that came begging to join our empire signal the fleet. We advance on Earth immediately. If any human ship tries to interfere, destroy it." But as the Zephyrian fleet moved deeper into the system, something unexpected happened. Every human communication frequency in the solar system activated at once. The same calm voice that had spoken to the Third Armada now addressed the entire Zephyrian fleet. "Admiral Nex Shal," said Admiral Chen Nakamura, "this is your final warning. Turn your fleet around and leave this system immediately." Admiral Nex Shal laughed. "Admiral Nakamura, still hiding behind your ancient toys, I see. Do you really think 12 cargo ships can stop the First Fleet?" "No," Admiral Nakamura replied calmly. "I don't think 12 ships can stop you." The transmission paused for a moment. When it resumed, there was something different in the human admiral's voice. Something that made Admiral Nex Shal suddenly nervous. "But perhaps a few thousand can." That was when space around the Zephyrian fleet began to change. It started slowly, faint outlines in the darkness, like heat mirages in empty space. Then the outlines grew clearer, more solid. Within seconds, the void around the First Fleet was filled with the shadows of ships, hundreds of them, then thousands. Admiral Nex Shal watched in growing horror as vessel after vessel materialized out of nothingness. They were unlike anything he had ever seen, sleek, predatory craft that seemed to bend light around their hulls. Some were the size of frigates. Others dwarfed the largest Zephyrian battleships. "Sir," his sensor officer whispered, "I'm reading 4,832 contacts, all unknown configurations." 4,000 ships, against 400. The numbers alone were overwhelming, but Admiral Nexshal knew that numbers weren't everything. The Zephyrian fleet still had superior firepower. "All ships, battle formation," he commanded. "Target the largest enemy vessels. Fire at will." The Zephyrian fleet opened fire with everything they had. Energy beams that could crack planets lanced out toward the human ships. Missiles capable of destroying entire cities streaked through space. Every shot passed harmlessly through the human vessels. The enemy ships flickered between solid and transparent, existing and not existing at the same time. Weapons that struck them simply passed through as if firing at ghosts. "Impossible," Admiral Nexshal breathed. "How are they doing that?" His answer came in the form of return fire. The human ships began shooting back, but their weapons were unlike anything the Zephyrians had ever encountered. Beams of twisted space-time struck the Imperial vessels, passing through shields as if they didn't exist. One by one, Zephyrian ships began shutting down, not exploding, not breaking apart, just stopping. Their crews remained alive and unharmed, but their vessels were completely disabled. "Sir," reported the engineering officer, "our shields are useless against their weapons. They're firing some kind of dimensional energy that exists partially outside normal space." Admiral Nexshal realized he was facing technology beyond his comprehension. The humans weren't just more advanced. They were operating on a completely different level of scientific understanding. "All ships retreat," he ordered. "Full reverse, maximum speed." But the human fleet was already moving to surround them. The alien vessels flowed through space like living things, their movements defying every law of physics the Zephyrians understood. Within an hour, the entire First Fleet was floating helpless in space, 400 of the Empire's greatest warships, disabled without a single casualty on either side. Admiral Chen Nakamura's voice filled the communication channels again. "Admiral Nexshal, you and your crews will be transported to safety momentarily. Your ships will remain here as evidence of what happens when you threaten peaceful worlds." "Wait," Admiral Nexshal called out desperately. "Who are you people? How do you have such technology?" "We are exactly who we said we were," Admiral Nakamura replied. "We are humans from Earth, but we are not the primitive species you believed us to be." The blue transport light filled every Zephyrian ship. When it faded, the crews were gone, safely relocated to the same sanctuary station that held all the other captured Imperial forces. On the command bridge of the UES Resilience, Admiral Nakamura stood looking out at the disabled enemy fleet. The ancient exploration ship that the Zephyrians had mocked now floated proudly among thousands of invisible guardians. "Sir," Captain Wells reported, "the entire First Fleet has been neutralized. All enemy personnel are safe and secure." Admiral Nakamura nodded. "Transmit our terms to the Zephyrian capital. It's time they learned the truth about humanity's place in this galaxy." Captain Santos, now promoted to Fleet Admiral, approached from her station. "Sir, the other species in the Empire are asking for our protection. Word is spreading that humanity has defeated the Zephyrians without killing anyone." "Good," Admiral Nakamura replied. "That was always the plan. We're not conquerors, Admiral Santos. We're protectors." It's time the galaxy understood the difference. Around Earth, the silent war Armada remained on guard. Ships that had protected the galaxy in secret for 50 years were finally revealing themselves. The age of empires built on fear and violence was ending. The age of the Guardians had begun. But first, there was one more conversation to be had. Emperor Vex Null was about to learn that the small human admiral he had mocked 6 months ago was now the most powerful military commander in the galaxy. And unlike the Emperor, Admiral Nakamura had no interest in ruling through fear. The Crystal Throne Room looked exactly the same as it had 6 months ago, but everything else had changed. Emperor Vex Null sat slumped in his chair of starlight, his crystalline body dim with defeat. Around him, the noble courtiers whispered nervously among themselves. Admiral Chen Nakamura walked across the vast floor once again, his footsteps echoing in the silent chamber. But this time, he was not alone. Behind him walked the commanders of the silent war Armada, men and women who had revealed themselves to be the most skilled warriors in the galaxy. "Your Majesty," Admiral Nakamura said, stopping before the throne. His voice was still calm and respectful, exactly as it had been during their first meeting. The Emperor looked down at the small human who had somehow destroyed his empire without firing a shot in anger. "Admiral," he said quietly, "I suppose you have come to dictate terms of surrender." "No, Your Majesty," Admiral Nakamura replied. "I have come to offer you partnership." The word echoed through the throne room like a bell. The Zephyrian nobles stopped whispering and stared at the human admiral in disbelief. "Partnership?" Emperor Vex Null leaned forward. "You have defeated our greatest fleets. You have technology we cannot comprehend. Why would you offer partnership to a conquered enemy?" Admiral Nakamura smiled slightly. "Because you are not our enemy, Your Majesty. You never were. We came here seeking peaceful cooperation. That has not changed." Ambassador Kethvar, still serving as the Emperor's chief diplomat, stepped forward. His crystal body flickered with confusion. "But Admiral, your fleet, the silent war Armada, you could conquer the entire galaxy if you wished." "We could," Admiral Nakamura agreed. "But we won't. Humanity has no desire to rule over other species. We prefer to protect them." The Emperor stood up slowly, his massive form towering over the humans. "Protect them. Admiral, I have received reports from across my empire. For months your ships have been operating in our territory. Pirates vanishing, trade routes becoming safe, dangerous criminals simply disappearing." "That's correct, Your Majesty. You were protecting our people. Even while we mocked you, even while we called you primitives, you were guarding our borders." Admiral Nakamura nodded. "The silent war Armada has protected every peaceful species in this region of space for the past 50 years. That includes the Zephyrian Empire, whether you knew it or not." The truth hit the Emperor like a physical blow. For half a century, while his empire believed it ruled through strength, humans had been the real guardians of galactic peace. Every Zephyrian victory over pirates, every safe trade route, every secure border, it had all been maintained by invisible human protectors. "Why?" the Emperor asked. "Why protect us in secret? Why not reveal yourselves as the superior power?" "Because protection and domination are not the same thing," Admiral Nakamura explained. "Your empire gave people order and law. That was valuable. We simply made sure that order was never threatened by forces you couldn't handle." Captain Santos stepped forward. "Your Majesty, humanity has been watching the galaxy for a very long time. We saw species destroy each other over and over again. We decided to find a better way." The Emperor looked around his throne room at the faces of his nobles. Many were still shocked, but he could see understanding beginning to dawn in their crystalline features. "What are you proposing, Admiral?" he asked. "A new kind of empire," Admiral Nakamura said. "One based on cooperation instead of conquest. Your people are excellent administrators and diplomats. Many species trust you and look to you for leadership. We propose that you continue to provide that leadership." "And humanity?" "We will do what we have always done. We will watch from the shadows. We will deal with threats that conventional forces cannot handle. We will ensure that peaceful species can grow and prosper without fear. Admiral Kex Thon, who had lost 2 entire fleets to human technology, spoke for the first time. What about our military, our fleets? You will need them, Captain Santos answered. Not every threat in the galaxy can be handled by invisible ships. Some enemies must be faced openly. Some battles must be fought in the light where everyone can see them. That will be your responsibility. The Emperor sat back down on his throne, his mind working through the implications. So humans will be the hidden guardians, and Zephyrians will be the visible protectors. Along with any other species that wishes to join us, Admiral Nakamura confirmed. This is not about human dominance or Zephyrian rule. This is about creating a galaxy where every peaceful species can thrive. Ambassador Kethvar raised a concern. But Admiral, how do we know you won't use your superior technology to control us from behind the scenes? Admiral Nakamura considered the question seriously. Because we've had that power for 50 years and never used it, if we wanted to control the galaxy, Ambassador, we would have done it decades ago. The truth of those words settled over the throne room like a gentle rain. The humans could have conquered everyone at any time. Instead, they had chosen to serve as protectors, asking nothing in return. What about our captured crews? The Emperor asked. They will be returned immediately, along with your ships. All we ask is that you announce the formation of the new Galactic Confederation. Make it clear that this alliance is based on mutual respect and shared protection. The Emperor stood up once more, but this time his crystal body blazed with light. Admiral Nakamura, I formally accept your proposal. The Zephyrian Empire will join your Galactic Confederation as an equal partner. The throne room erupted in surprised murmurs from the nobles, but none of them objected. They had seen the power of human technology. They understood that this offer of partnership was generous beyond belief. There is one more thing, Your Majesty, Admiral Nakamura said. The galaxy has many species that have been conquered or oppressed. They deserve a voice in this new confederation. No one species, not even ours, should hold absolute power. 6 months later, Admiral Maria Santos stood on the observation deck of the UES Shade Walker as it patrolled the outer rim of the galaxy. Through the transparent aluminum windows, she could see dozens of other ships from the silent war Armada maintaining their eternal watch. But now they were not alone. Zephyrian vessels flew openly alongside them, their crystal hulls gleaming in the starlight. Ships from a dozen other species had joined the Confederation, each contributing their own strengths to the common defense. Admiral, Lieutenant Chen reported, we're receiving a message from the Confederation Council on Zephyria Prime. On screen, Maria ordered. The display showed the council chamber where representatives from 23 species worked together to govern the new Galactic Alliance. Emperor Vex Nul, now titled First Chancellor, was speaking with the representative from a species that had been enslaved by pirates for decades until the silent war Armada freed them. Admiral, the Emperor's voice came through the communication system. Our scouts report that the Andromeda pirates are massing for another invasion attempt. Can your fleet handle them? Maria smiled. Already on it, Your Majesty. They won't even know we're there until it's too late. The transmission ended, and Maria turned back to watch the stars. The galaxy was finally at peace, protected by guardians who preferred shadows to glory and protection to power. Somewhere in space, Admiral Chen Nakamura stood on the bridge of the UES Long Night, still invisible to every sensor system ever developed. He watched as trade ships moved safely through space lanes that had been deadly for centuries. Sir, his communications officer reported, the Confederation fleet reports all borders secure. No hostile activity detected. Admiral Nakamura nodded. Good. Signal all silent war vessels. Continue standard patrol patterns. The galaxy sleeps safely tonight. And in the vast darkness between the stars, thousands of invisible ships kept their eternal watch, ensuring that the nightmare of galactic war would never return. The empire that had mocked humanity's 12 ancient ships now owed its existence to the thousands of guardians they had never seen. The species that had called humans primitive now lived under the protection of the most advanced military force in the galaxy. But most importantly, children of every species could look up at the stars and dream of the future, knowing that somewhere in the darkness, humanity's silent war armada stood ready to defend them. The age of empires was over. The age of guardians had begun.